Hey, welcome back. I'm Dave Dubeau, and today we're going to be talking about how to invest in real estate in Canada with no money. Now, this is near and dear to my heart because when I first started investing in real estate way back in 2003, I did 18 deals in 18 months with little or no money on my part or credit either. So we're going to be talking about that today. All right, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 3 different ways that you can do real estate deals in Canada without using any of your money. And then the 4th way is how to do real estate deals, the best deals, without using any of your own money by using other people's money instead. And this is the best way to get the best deals and do whatever you want as often as you want to. Stay tuned. All right, one of the most popular ways to get into real estate investing without any money or very little money is to start off by doing wholesaling deals. What does that mean? That means you go out and you market and you beat the bushes and you find motivated sellers. These are usually what are called off-market deals. You aren't going to find these on the MLS or through a realtor. You find motivated sellers who are typically in some sort of a distressed situation who need to sell their properties quickly and who are willing to do that at a steep discount. So then you tie up that property, you get it under contract, and you make sure that your contract says that you have the right to assign that contract to somebody else. So then you get that deal tied up, you get that property tied up, and then you go find another real estate investor who wants to buy these kind of properties, and you sell them. You don't sell them the property, you sell them the contract to purchase the property. So depending on what kind of a deal you've got, how steep of a discount you've got on the property, you might get $2,000 or $5,000, or for bigger deals, even $10,000 or $15,000 as an assignment fee from the investor who ends up buying the deal. You got to make sure that there's a lot of cushion in there so that, number one, your end buyer can do the deal and make a profit, and number two, so you can get paid something as well. So that's wholesaling. That's a way a lot of people get involved in real estate investing to get going. It's not a bad idea. It's a very good way to get good at finding motivated sellers. It's a very good way to get good at negotiating deals. It's a very good way to get your feet wet and create a bit of an income in the meantime. However, it's not investing. It's basically, if you stop doing that, you stop making any money. So most people get started in wholesaling and then quickly move into other longer term buy and hold type deals. Some people get into wholesaling thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a little pot of gold here, and then I'm going to take that money and I'm going to go and buy a property and hold on to it long term. Well, I'm going to show you a way to shortcut that you don't have to worry about building up that pot of gold yourself first. You can just dive right in and get going. Now, the second way I want to talk about how to get into real estate deals in Canada without using any of your money is using creative strategies. So we talked about wholesaling. That's not really a creative strategy. Other creative strategies include doing things like rent to own deals with property owners. It could be getting an option on the property. It could be buying the property subject to the underlying financing. All of these different strategies are creative ways to get into properties without having to use your own cash or your own credit. Another creative way is to find property owners that own the property outright, who have no mortgage on the property, and get owner financing on those kind of deals as well. So way back in the day when I first started investing in real estate back in 2003, I had been living outside of the country for about 10 years. And when I came back to Canada, I had very little money. I had no job, I had no credit, and I had no connections in the new community that I moved into. And I saw one of those late night infomercials that said, you too can get rich in real estate with little or no money down. I said, perfect, that's what I've got, little or no money down. So I sent away for that course and put it to use, and I did 18 deals in 18 months. And each one of these deals was a creative type of a strategy, like the ones I was telling you about at the beginning of the segment. And it was great. However, it's not as sexy or as exciting as the gurus make it sound to be, right? So typically, if you're finding a motivated seller, if you're finding a desperate seller who's willing to do one of these kind of creative strategies, there's usually something wrong with the property, or there's something wrong with the seller, or there's something wrong with the property and the seller, right? That's why they've gotten themselves into one of these wonky situations in the first place. So it could be that there was a tragedy, it could be there was a death in the family or a divorce, and they need to get rid of and liquidate the property very, very quickly. It could be that they've gotten themselves into financial challenges, they've lost their job, they can no longer afford to keep the property. It could be that they bought the property very, very recently and they paid top dollar for the property, and perhaps the market's gone down a little bit and now the property is not worth as much as they paid for it. Or if they try to sell it through a realtor, they're going to actually have to come out of pocket to pay the realtor commission. All sorts of different reasons people are desperate to sell their property and willing to talk with you about doing that. But here's the challenge. It's typically a challenging property. So it's not like buying a nice, pretty house and then turning around and selling it to a nice, pretty home buyer. Chances are you're buying a crappy kind of a property and you have to sell it creatively to somebody else who's willing to either fix that up or get into that property in a creative fashion. So yeah, it's a good way to get some experience in real estate investing. But again, typically these are very transactional kind of deals. You're getting into the deal, you're getting out of the deal, you're getting a chunk of cash, hopefully, if you make some money on the deal. But you're not really creating a lot of long-term wealth. You're not taking advantage of all of the different 7 or 8 different profit centers in a long-term buy and hold real estate deal. So again, it's very transactional. It might be a little bit better than doing the wholesaling. You might be making more money than doing that, but you're not really investing for the long term. As soon as you stop doing this, you stop making money. Does that make sense? So fortunately, there are better ways to get into real estate investing in Canada without any money, and I'm going to be talking about 2 of them right now. All right, so one of my favorite ways to invest in real estate in Canada with no money, none of your own money, is to partner with somebody else and bring value to the table instead of money. What do I mean by that? You can joint venture with an active real estate investor who's doing the kind of deals that you want to do in the area that you want to do them without necessarily having to bring $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 to the table. What you can bring instead is sweat equity. What is sweat equity? Sweat equity means that you put effort into the deal, and instead of working for a paycheck, you're working for equity. Now, don't get out to lunch here and think that you're going to put in a little bit of effort and hammer some nails and saw some wood or do some marketing or something like that and get 50% of the deal. That's not how it works. But you might put in some effort and some hard work and get 5% of a deal or 10% of the deal or whatever that looks like, depending on the size of the deal. But bottom line is, this is a fantastic way to do a deal, get experience, get equity, get some credibility so that you can start doing that same kind of deal and bring on your own joint venture partners or your own investors and do a 50-50 kind of a split. Does that make sense? But in order to do that, you typically need to have a little bit of experience under your belt. You typically need to have at least one deal to show as a case study. And partnering up with somebody else and working with them for equity instead of a paycheck is a fantastic way to shortcut that whole thing. Just like my client Audie, when Audie first started working with us, he was looking at switching his strategies. He wanted to get into a BRRRR type of a strategy: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. But he didn't have a lot of cash to do those kind of deals. He didn't have any experience doing those. So I introduced him to somebody who was actively doing that in the market that he wanted to work in. They joined forces. Audie started working with these guys, and he brought his experience to the table. And what he brought to the table was, he did whatever needed to get done, whether that was sweeping out a construction site, whether that was helping to hammer stuff in, or more likely it was about managing the deal, doing property management, doing tenant management, doing marketing stuff, doing social media type stuff. He brought that value to the table, and instead of working for a paycheck, Audie was working for equity in those deals. And you can do exactly the same way. Now, there is another way to do real estate deals in Canada with none of your own money, That's what we're going to be talking about right now. All right, last but definitely not least is my favorite way of doing real estate deals. And here's the good news. It doesn't involve any of your money. This is a way of doing real estate deals in Canada with none of your money in the deal. And that is by bringing on investors and joint venture partners. So this is how that works. You bring the deal, you bring the team, you bring the knowledge, you bring the work, you bring the management, and you bring on a joint venture partner or an investor who brings in the capital and maybe the credit to get financing for the deals, and you join forces. Now, the beautiful thing is here, you don't need to have any of your own money in the deal, and you still have perhaps as much as 50% ownership in that property. It's a way for you to scale your portfolio as high as you ever want to without having to qualify for financing, without having to come up with your own money for down payments, because you're partnering up with other people who have the money but who do not have the time or the knowledge or the interest in learning about how to become an active real estate investor like you are. It is the perfect marriage. This is the perfect way to create a win-win situation. Why is it a win-win? Because you're helping your investor partners do something they cannot or will not do on their own, and that is to actively buy properties. You are the active partner in the deal. You're scouring the market. You're doing your marketing and finding off-market deals, or you're looking through the MLS and analyzing properties. You're bringing fantastic deals to the table. You're bringing your real estate power team to the table, and you're joining forces with an investor who can invest very, very passively in this kind of a deal and yet share in all of the profits and benefits of being a real estate investor. It truly is a win-win way of doing real estate, and it's a way that you can do as many deals as you want to. You can do as big of deals as you want to right here in Canada without any money down on your part. All right. If you like that idea, if you like the idea of attracting investors and joint venture partners, and you'd rather have them coming to you already pre-motivated, predisposed, and pre-qualified to invest, then I'm going to suggest you get a copy of my book, Money Partner Formula. You can click on the link that's in the description below or go to investorattractionbook.com. When you get this book, it's going to walk you through my entire process, the process I've used to raise millions of dollars for my deals, the process our clients have used to cumulatively raise well over $350 million for their deals and counting, and you can do the same thing when you follow the instructions in this book. So go ahead and get a copy today.